as a chaplain, you're going to have those days where you ask yourself, what in the world did I just sign up for? That was me, standing in the hallway of our hospital, pager buzzing, lights flashing, and nurses running like we're in an episode of Chicago Med. My first death as a chaplain, let me tell you, I felt completely and utterly useless. My name is Leslie. I am a CPE. Glad you're here. Story time. So at the hospital where I'm doing my clinical pastoral education, so my CPE, we live by the pager. I mean, it drives every single thing that you do. And so one evening, I was there by myself, and the pager went off. Cardiac arrest. Now, I don't know what I thought was going to happen when I walked into that situation, but I definitely wasn't ready for what I saw. When I got to the floor, it was complete and utter chaos. There were a gazillion people inside of that patient's room. Lights were flashing in the hall. Nurses were running. My blood pressure was going through the roof. And in that moment, I knew two things. Number one, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And number two, I absolutely couldn't let anyone know that I didn't know what to do. So what did I do? So glad you asked. Y'all ask amazing questions. I parked myself on a wall outside of the room and just looked. And I prayed. But mostly I looked because I was terrified. Inside of that room, the team was working hard. They were switching out on the chest compressions. You could hear ribs cracking, all the things. And the attending physician is calling out orders from the back of the room. And all you can see is just a lot of action. That was inside of the room. But outside of the room, what shocked me was that the nurses were casually chatting, even giggling. And I'm like, don't they know this man in here dying? What is going on? I was put off by that a little bit. But then I realized, you know what? This is not their first time at this rodeo. This is your first time, Leslie. So don't judge them. This is how they make it through their shift. You figure out what you're supposed to be doing, okay? And so I'm like, because if they were breaking down the way you feeling, they couldn't care for nobody, okay? So anyway, back to the story. So 13 rounds of CPR later, and the attending physician called it time of death. And it was almost like on cue, this man's family showed up. Now it's my turn. One of the nurses who didn't even notice I had been standing there for over hours, she yells out, call the chaplain. And I'm sitting there in my little purple jacket. I'm like, I've been right here. I'm here. And I guess she's like, well, what you doing over there? The family's here now. It's your turn. So the man's mother and girlfriend walk into the room. They were completely distraught, of course. And I'm thinking, who do I console first? The mother or the girlfriend? Because I can't do it both at the same time. So I chose the mother. And maybe I chose the mother because I'm a mom. Maybe. She kept saying a mother is not supposed to bury their child. She said that over and over, y'all. And I had no words. Absolutely none. And I talk a lot. And I was like, what can I do? So I hugged her. Meanwhile, the girlfriend was yelling and she was making phone calls and it was just emotional chaos. I tried to approach the girlfriend and she wasn't having it. And I'm like, but I thought I was here to console. I thought I was here to help. What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to do? This woman don't want my help. So eventually I found myself retreating to the corner of the room. And I looked over at the bed, at that dead man. His mouth agape, his eyes wide open. He was gone. And it wasn't as creepy as I thought it was going to be, y'all. But again, my mind and what I was thinking, all I could think is, how's this family going to move forward from here? That moment taught me two things. Number one, sometimes all you can do is be there. Presence matters even when you feel useless. Number two, grief doesn't come with a manual. And families need space to fall apart, y'all. And that's okay. You're going to have to get comfortable as a chaplain with people falling apart around you. And lastly, as chaplains, we don't have all the answers. Because guess what? We're not supposed to. It's not about fixing things. It's about holding space. So, I know you're new because you're following this channel. But even if you're just a human being listening in, remember this. Showing up is the bravest thing you can do. Yeah? Well, that was my first step, y'all. But on a more cheerful note, I'm starting a new journey in a couple of weeks, y'all. I got my first big girl job. I am going to be a hospice chaplain, and I am so excited. I'm really looking forward to the chance I'm going to have to build relationships as opposed to just reacting to a pager. But that's another story. That's another story for another video. But as usual, if this resonated with you, hit the like button, subscribe for more stories from my chaplain chair. But most importantly, remember, you don't need to have all the answers. Sometimes it's just good enough to show up. All right, my loves, thank you for spending your time with me. Like, subscribe, share this, and I will see you in the next video. Grace and peace.